Gator Dave, how we doing tonight?
We are doing well, Mike. Getting a little sad, though. We got the last week of the regular season, week 14, but it's rivalry week in the 2024 regular season. We're not going to stop here, though. We're going to keep this thing going. Remember, Bets Utopia, your number one location for all things sports betting. Please subscribe, like, and follow so we can make it happen for you guys. Live shows on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. More time for those wagers on Thursday night. And there is a game. My alma mater is playing tomorrow on Thanksgiving. University of Memphis is playing the Tulane Green Wave. So, interesting. We don't have that game on the slate, but I'll tell you now, take Memphis in the points. All right. Not a good week for Bets Utopia when the best of the two of us are 6-6, right? Gator Dave finally beat Miami Mike at 6-6, so not really that good. Mike's still smoking me. You can see up there, is it here or there? But Mike's still killing me. But nice announcement. My Gators took down that. Okay, all right. My Gators took down the number 9 team in the nation, Mike. Enjoyed my time with my grandson, Phineas Guerin. We had a blast. Now, as I said last week, Billy wins this game. I'm back on the Billy bandwagon. He's good for another year with me. So, interesting scenario, Mike. That win, as well as the Oklahoma win over Alabama, has now secured your team in the playoffs no matter what happens in the ACC championship game, Mike. You do know that, right?
You think so?
You can thank me now. You can thank Gator Dave now and the Gators. Yes, sir, no matter what happens. Mark my words.
Well, we still got to get there. We still got to get there, and there's a reason that we did not pick that game this week, Gator Dave. That did not make one of the 12 games this week.
Well, we'll do this just so you can hope everything goes well. So the only thing that can screw that up is Q's, but we'll leave it there.
Hopefully we'll be playing football next weekend as well. Yes.
But like I said, Oklahoma and Florida got you in, buddy. So, Mike, did you throw out the numbers of how we did last week? You get those up?
I did, yeah.
All right, you got those
so
up?
Ready to go.
The most important thing this week is that with that win against the Ole Miss Rebels, Mike, that's 6 wins, Mike. And I believe we had a little friendly wager. There's $100 that Gator Dave takes from Miguel. So, and we're not done yet because we got the mighty powerhouse of Florida State University coming up this week. So, we might make 7 wins, and then who knows, win a bowl game. So we'll see. I do want to say happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there listening, watching. We got Evelyn in the chat. Hopefully others in the chat will come on in a minute. But thanks for being on, and happy Thanksgiving if I forget that later. So let's get this show on the road, Mike. You got the first one.
I got the first one. Win with humility, lose with humility here, Gator Dave. And that's not, unfortunately, what these South Florida Bulls are going to do when they play the Rice. The Owls? I think
Owls.
So, yeah, I got South Florida in this one. South Florida -5. I think they're clicking. They are vibing right now. Rice just got blown out last week by a bad UAB team. They're out of bowl contention. South Florida, I believe, still needs this one to be in a bowl.
No, they're 6-5.
Let me double check. Okay, so they're 6-5. Yes, they're 6-5. I still don't think they have any problem with this one. They're rolling. They should put up probably 30, 40 maybe on this Rice team. So give me South Florida to get it done -5 here. Dave, what you got?
Mike, we're going to make this short and sweet. I'm with you on USF. They are 6-5. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, and Rice lost to a crap UAB team. by
Terrible.
Mike, by 26 points, Mike. And USF gained 700 yards on Tulsa. They're on a roll. Give me them Bulls to cover the 5 here, Mike. I am with you. We
like
are
it.
straight on this one. So next game, we are rolling to your ACC, Mike. So we got Pitt at Boston College. So Boston College is favored by 5 here. Kind of weird. I thought they were the hot team, and they got a better record. They're 7-4. But Pitt, Mike, has lost its last 4 games. Now they have played Louisville, Clemson, and SMU, and they also lost to Virginia. So BC's won 2 of 3. They beat North Carolina, Syracuse, but lost to SMU. Both teams 7-4 against the spread. Boston College has won each of its last 8 games as a favorite against non-AP ranked teams, and they've also covered the spread in each of the last 4 games against conference opponents. The Panthers have allowed at least 24 points in 4 straight games. Boston College has won 2 of their last 3 games and even played decent against SMU, better than most teams because SMU is pretty hot. And I'm anxious for that ACC championship game. Give me BC and to cover those 5 points and a Gator Dave lock. What do you think, Mike?
All right. Maybe. I'm actually going to go the under here. I'm going to go under 48.5. Eli Holstein, the quarterback for Pitt, he had an ankle injury last week. He got carted off the field, and then Pitt came out and said that it's actually not a season-ending injury. Either way, it's a bum ankle. Hate to say it one way or another. He's going to go against a Boston College team that knows he has a bad ankle. It's going to take one bad sack, one bad pressure, one bad fall down, twist underneath that pile, and he's going to be done for the game. So I cannot trust Pitt on this side. Grayson James, the quarterback that stepped in for Thomas Castellanos after he got benched and quit the team, he's been clicking. I went against him last week, and I paid for it. Not going to do it again this week, but I don't know if I can back him either. So I'm going to go with the defenses in this one. I'm going to take that under 48.5 here, Dave.
I think it's a good call, Mike. I really do. Good call. All right. Let's roll over to the Big 12. What you got?
All right, so again, it feels like we've talked about this team literally every week. I think this season
Cincinnati.
we'd probably have to go back and look. But I'd be hard pressed to find a week that we did not talk about the Bearcats. And surprising enough, they are sitting at 5-6 right now, so they are 1 win away from bowl eligibility. They need this one in a bad way. That's the side that I'm looking. It's at home. It's +3. For us, I think now you could probably even get it at +3.5 in some places. For me, the big thing in this situation is 1, bowl eligibility, and I'm also going with the more proven quarterback in Brendan Sorsby. I like him. I like his game. When he's clicking, he's on. He's hard to stop. The issues has been his turnovers, and he's a little bit streaky when it comes to both. He's either not turning the ball over a lot at all, or he might have a couple possessions in a row where he's giving the ball to the other team. Either way, I'm taking Cincinnati in this one. The main reason for me is going to be the weather here, Gator Dave. You got TCU coming from high of 70, low of 55, 60, up until I think today, actually, when the whole country, it seems, has kind of gotten this cold front coming across right now. Winter is arriving. For that reason, I think Cincinnati is better conditioned for this game. I don't think they'll be shell-shocked by the weather. I believe it's a night game as well. Am I correct in that?
I don't know. We got it mixed up the order. Not real.
That's
sure,
a 6 p.m. game, so it'll be a night game when this game kicks off. I'm assuming sunset in Cincy is probably around like 5 p.m. So, yeah, this will be a night game. It'll be nice and chilly. Give me Cincy to get the upset at home here, Dave. What do you got?
Mike, I'm going to shout out to Public House, one of my faves there. Son, how you doing? So, So we got TCU and Cincinnati. Mike, I am going to go the opposite. TCU hot, 7-4. They won 4 of their last 5 games. They beat Arizona, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and Utah. They did, however, lose to Baylor. Mike, the quarterback for TCU, Mr. Hoover, he's 68%. He has 3,485 yards. Mike, 3,500 yards. 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not too shabby. The running back Cook. Yeah, running back Cook, he's kind of average. 434, 3.8, and 9 TDs. The TCU offense, Mike, is ranked 22nd in the land. So I'm gonna ride that TCU offense. The Bearcats passing defense is not good. And 3,500 yards and 68% is going to toss that rock. And I'm going to go for the Horned Frogs and give me the Horned Frogs on the money line here, Mike. And our first real big head-to-head, sir.
All right. Got to have some good head-to-heads. That looks like good.
Baby.
The more we were talking about it, the over also might be a potential play there. Looking at that 58.5.
Could happen. Yep, that's not a bad number. All right, next game. We are staying in the Big 12. So we've got the Utes of Utah traveling down to Central Florida. So they're not going to have to worry about the weather, Mike. This is the battle of the Stinkies. Both teams coming in at 4-7. Utah has lost, Mike, their last 6 games. Woo! UCF, they've lost 4 or 5. Utah 4-7 against the spread. UCF 5-7. You're going, Dave, why did you pick this game? It's hot garbage. But when you really dig in,
that's actually what I thought when I saw it.
This is going to be Coach Winningham's last game, Mike. There's smoke. It's not 100%, but I'm thinking that. I'm thinking neither team has anything to play for here. And while UCF might win this game, 10 points is too much for Gator Day to give up. So give me the Utes and the 10 points, sir.
Utes and the 10 points.
Yes, sir.
No way. Can't do it. No way. We're going to go with the under here, Gator Dave. I'm going to bank on that Utah defense coming to play and stopping that UCF run game, which is pretty much all UCF's got.
That's it.
UCF's defense, I think, is going to be able to have some success against Isaac Wilson and this Utah offense, which has been abysmal, to say the least, this entire year. Also, something of note, you mentioned that weather. They're not going to have to worry about that weather. You seem to forget this Utah team is coming into some humidity here, Gator Dave. It's going to be about 75% humidity there in Orlando on Saturday. So something to consider with these big hogs from old Utah. Maybe getting a little tired out there, Gator Dave. So I'm going to go with the under 47.5 in this one.
All right. Sounds interesting and a nice possibility there, Mike. I think it's a good call. So, next game, we're staying in the Big 12 there, buddy. Your game, what you got? And,
we got Father. Oh.
We need to say hey to Ian Gleason and Father Tiggy. Father Tiggy's in the house. Thanks for joining, brother. That might be somebody I might know because you see his little insignia there. It's a Memphis Tigers.
That's true, dude. You do know every Memphis Tiger.
That's got to be one of my peeps from Memphis. So, all right. Nice to see you, Father Tiggy. What you got, Mike?
So I got offense in this one, Dave. We're talking West Virginia, Texas Tech. I am looking at the over 64.5 in this one. I was leaning Texas Tech. I just don't know if I can trust it. West Virginia's been really good on the road this year. They are 3-1. This just feels like one of those games that they might be able to sneak it out. I like Texas Tech. I think their ability to stop the run is going to make it hard for West Virginia to run the football. I think this is going to be a passing shootout. But I think there's going to be a lot of points frequently and in a big way. So it's a high total, but I think that 64.5 is one that I'm comfortable with laying. So give me that over here, Dave. What do you got?
Hey, I'm right there with you, Mike. Don't need a lot to say on this one. I felt the same way. I didn't have quite enough confidence in Tech outright taking care of this one, which I think is a good possibility here. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, West Virginia's won 3 out of 5. Tech has lost 3 out of 5. So I was like, didn't really like that. But then when I looked at it, Mike, West Virginia, their last 5 games, 3 games went over. Texas Tech, last 5 games, 4 games went over. Mike, I'm with you here. Give me the over 64.5. And Father Tiggy, you're going to kill me, man. I'm not going to know who it is, but let's keep rolling. You got the next one there, brother.
All right, next one we're taking it back to the ACC. We're talking Virginia at Va Tech here, Gator Dave. Virginia Tech is a 7-point favorite. They're at home. Over-under is looking at 48.5. For me, this is Va Tech. Both of these teams are sitting at 5-6, so they both need this win to be bowl eligible. Va Tech is the big brother in this rivalry, if you even want to call it that. They've owned Virginia. Last year, they beat them 55-17. I expect nothing different from this Kyron Drones-led team. This Va Tech team has come on late, even though they've lost the last 3 to be at 5-6. I think they get right in this one. They get bowl eligibility. It's been a rough year for them. They need some positivity, but it's been a rough couple of years for Virginia. Unfortunately, I think that continues. Their head coach has them trending in the right direction, but they looked absolutely atrocious last week against SMU. They got routed. It was like 33-7 in that game that SMU needed to clinch their berth into the ACC championship. I just don't think Virginia's got it this year. Quarterback for them, I do like. I will say that. I think he can play as at Candelario. But Kyron Drones, I think he's too much at home in this one. So give me Va Tech.
Yeah, so a couple of things here, and I'm with you on. It's a home game, and they need this win to get to bowl eligibility. And the information I looked at, they've been bowl eligible since like 2007, so it's like almost a given. But there's some things here in play. Virginia Tech has lost 3 in a row. Virginia's 6-5 against the spread. Tech's 5-6, and the Virginia quarterback's done relatively well. Not great. They do have a couple of running backs over 500 yards, but the quarterback situation might for Tech could be an issue here. So, I mean, they don't know. I mean, I just look. They don't know if Drones is even going to play. They think the backup, both number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks are injured. Drones being number 1, obviously. Yep. And the number 2 quarterback got hurt in the last game. And this kid by the name of Watson, they call him Doc Watson, he had to finish the last game. So I'm worried about
I love it even more. I love it even more.
I'm worried about that quarterback situation at Tech. But we're going to get to my bet here. The Cavs, Virginia, has scored 14 or fewer points in the last 3 or 4 games. Low. Couple that with the issue with the quarterbacks. Mike, I think the play here is I know it's only 48.5, but I think it's a grinded out. I'm going the under here, Mike, because I just don't think a lot of points are going to be scored in this game due to where Virginia's been as of late and the quarterback situation at Virginia Tech. So give me the under 48.5 points, Mike.
That's probably a really good bet, Gator Dave, because you know what stat I just looked at after you said what you said?
You screwing with me or what, Mike?
Your boy Doc Watson last week in
Doc.
relief duty against Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 for 25. He threw a pick, he had a fumble, and he was sacked 8 times.
Yeah, it's not too good, Mike.
Those are not. That's terrible.
Yeah, not good. Not
That's
good.
crazy. Yeah. So I think you're under. It might have some legs to it there, Dave. I might need to switch my pick come Saturday. So we'll see about that one.
Yeah, we'll know more
That's
on
something to
on a
watch, folks. That's something to
yeah,
watch.
we'll know more on the quarterback situation a day or two. Now,
Whew.
that quarterback Watson didn't play well, but Mike, I need to point out just for my beautiful wife's sake, their fourth string quarterback, Mike, is a Brazilian. Just so you know.
Heyo.
Yeah,
We love
yeah.
that.
They don't play a lot of football down there in Brazil, so yeah, we'll kind of leave it there. So back at you, Mike. You got an ACC game. What do you got?
All right, so we're going to North Carolina, Tobacco Road here. We got North Carolina State taking on North Carolina. North Carolina Tar Heels are a 3-point favorite. Total sitting at 55.5. I'm not backing North Carolina in this one. Can't do it. I did it last week, and it was the worst pick I probably had of the entire weekend. They got absolutely smacked by Boston College. I don't see how this goes any differently, to be honest with you. I'm not impressed by this North Carolina team at all. Mac Brown, they announced he's coming back. I don't think that that's going to have an uplifting spirit in that locker room based on that information. On the flip side, you got Dave Doran leading this NC State team. They've had the freshmen coming in, C.J. Bailey in relief duty this year for Grayson McCall. He's looked actually pretty good in the games that he's played. They should have beat Georgia Tech last week in that Friday night game. They lost by 1. Georgia Tech had some Georgia Tech stuff happen. They pulled it out, in the last couple minutes of the game. Stole that one away from NC State. But NC State should be bowl eligible. They've lost, I believe, 3 of their 6 losses have been by 1 score. Easily could be a different season for them this year, minus a few key injuries. I think C.J. Bailey is the better quarterback in this one. I think Dave Doran is the better coach in this one. And I think NC State has the better defense. So I'm going NC State to go into North Carolina and Chapel Hill, get bowl eligible. They're sitting at 5-6 right now. North Carolina is 6-5, so they already are going bowling. NC State has something to play for in this one. Give me the Wolfpack to get the upset here, Dave. What do you got?
So, shout out to your boy Scott Crawford is in the chat. Speaking up for his Valdosta State round 2 this weekend for Valdosta State, the team down south. So, shout out to our buddy Scott there. So
we love to see it.
Mike, I got a little tidbit. You've been busy this week. Hadn't been that quite as busy as normal for Gator Dave. Mike, they have fired Mac Brown as the coach of North Carolina. He will coach this last game. And Mike, I am banking on they love their coach. It's senior day. Give me the heels in the money line, Mike. Boom.
Whoa. I'll tell you what, that might be enough for me just to not play on North Carolina State, to be honest with you. Because they could win it from Mac Brown.
This is your kind of game, Mike. With that
senior
day, Mac Brown leaving, love the guy. I mean, this is
dude.
This is a Miami Mike bet here, Mike. So
you're getting me fired up right now, Dave. You're getting me fired up.
See, it's all you. It's all you. It's all about you.
So yeah, I might be off NC State, but for the show, go Wolfpack. Go Wolfpack.
All right. For the show, the next game for the show.
This one.
Ian,
this one is finally
buddy?
here.
Ian 100. It's finally here. University of Florida at Florida State, Mike. And, man, the line just keeps creeping up. I guess they're worried maybe Florida might win the game. I don't know. We're going off of 14.5 here, Mike. 45.5 on the over-under. Florida 6-5. FSU is a paltry 2-9. They did have a big win last week, against Charleston Southern, a team that was like 1-10 in the shit coast league, whatever league they play
Yep.
in.
Hey, Florida State got the cover in that. 33
Oh
point favorite. Got the
no, I
cover.
thought they
Got the
didn't.
cover.
I was looking at one. You said they did cover. Holy crap! Yeah, so
They did.
Florida State 4-7 against the spread, Mike. The Gators are 7-4. Obviously, the big win last week. God, it was awesome against Ole Miss. I get Ole Miss is just not what they were supposed to be, especially if they got beat by the Gators, who are pretty much an average team. But they're my team anyway. We got DJ Lagway. Started 4 games so far. Hadn't lost yet, really, any game that he's started. He's 59%, 1477. Our freshman running back, Jaden Baugh, killing it. 4.8 a carry, 522 yards. He didn't really start getting in it till about 3/4 way through the season. Really, really, really happy with this running back room for sure. The Noles come in with their freshman sensation, Cromenhawk. Mike, what's a Cromenhawk? Mike, he's blazing 52%, 363, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he's ripping it up. I did a little reading prior to the game just to see what was out there, and I went on one of the Florida State websites. It's called FSU Wires or Wire, and their prediction, Mike, on this game, it was 38-17 in favor of the good guys. So that would be 21 points that a Florida State website, fan website, thinks they're going to lose by. So, Mike, I'm going to take my Gators to win by 14.5 or more, probably somewhere around 17 to 21 points, I think, in this game. So, what do you think, Mike?
I think you're wrong, Gator Dave. I think your world is about to come crashing down. You've been living the good life for the last 2 weeks here, buddy. And guess what? Not anymore. Not anymore. You're making that trip to Tallahassee. This is Florida State's Super Bowl. You mentioned it. Their record is a putrid 2-9. They've had a terrible, 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 terrible season, to say the least. But you know what would make that season a little bit sweeter, Dave? An upset of the old Florida Gators in Tallahassee. When they're riding sky high, the Gators have taken 20% of Florida State's 2025 recruiting class over the last week. Man, wouldn't it be sweet to just get one back on them right here? I don't know if they do that. But you know what is a telling sign for me is that over-under sitting at 45.5. That's a low total for this high of a spread. It's also a rivalry game, Dave. You're giving me double digits. So let me just say something real quick. This is one of the best weeks in college football is rivalry week. For the reason of you get some of these ridiculous spreads, these ridiculous favorites to underdog situation. We'll talk about a few more in the last couple games that we're going over tonight. I mean, there is huge potential here for not only shifts in the playoff rankings, the championship races, bowl eligibility. It's unbelievable. But there's also a great chance to make some cashola because you got these big underdogs. And I'm not saying Florida State is going to win this one outright. There's a couple other that I'm looking at that definitely have a shot. I think Florida State has a chance. But I think to write them off at a 14.5 point underdog to compete in this game, Florida is riding sky high, dude. Y'all were 3-6 going into these last 2 games, or 3-5.
No, we haven't lost 6 games yet, buddy.
Okay, so you're 6-5. So you were 4-5 going into these last 2. You've looked terrible for the most part throughout the season. The only difference is you got DJ Lagway back. And DJ Lagway back gives a confidence to that team that y'all have been lacking. under Graham Mertz's leadership, but that's on Billy Napier. He should have never had Graham Mertz to begin with. That was never the guy. But now you do have DJ Lagway. The issue is y'all have not been in this position. You haven't been in the position of being the top dog and being the one that needs to now take care of the puppies and put them on their place on the porch. It ain't going to happen in this one. If they walk in there and look past Florida State, which they very well could, because Florida State has had a terrible year. We've talked about it numerous times this year. If Florida looks past them, Florida State will come to play. People forget Florida State was 13-0 last year. Yes, they had transfers leave. They had transfers come in. Earl Little on the back end, he's had a terrible year. You don't think he wants to prove something against Florida, the team that he spurned to go to Florida State, as well as Miami, but we know how that went week one and later on in the season. I just don't see it. I don't see it, Dave. I don't see how this Florida team can cover 14.5. 14.5 is way too big of a number in this one. I'm going to take Florida State. This is like big brother taking on little brother. These guys played peewee football together. They know each other. They're not scared. They're not intimidated. This is going to be a step up to the line. Put everything you got on the line in the trenches. It's going to be good. I think you're going to be shocked come Saturday. You're going to be a little surprised at the Florida team that you see compared to the last 2 weeks that you have seen. Is all I'm going to say.
Mike, I'm going to have to give a rebuttal here. Normally I don't do rebuttals, but it is my team, and I think I owe it to them.
Normally you don't do rebuttals?
No, normally I don't. I usually zip in my lip. But, Mike, this FSU team has given up.
Put in the chat what you think about that.
Totally the opposite of my Gators have not given up. They are one game at a time. The Florida State Seminoles have given up. They are the 130th ranked at a 133 offense in the land. They have given up. They're not playing well. Now, I'll give you 14.5 is a little bit of a push, and I'm kind of thinking that, I'm winning one for the Gipper, and I would probably bet the over if I was betting money here. So, but I am not giving up on my team, and that team is not giving up on their coach, and it is going to be pretty damn close to 14 points that we're going to win by, because FSU has given up on their coach, and I think it's going to be a sad day for that team. So that's kind of where I am, Mike. Sorry. It was my team.
It's understandable.
Thank you, sir.
But they still suck. All right, moving on.
Next game. This one's mine. We have Notre Dame at USC. This is a traditional game, and obviously one of those big rivalry games right here. So Notre Dame is getting they're favored by 7.5. USC the over/under is 51.5, so it's kind of a low total there. Notre Dame's 10-1, USC 6-5. Notre Dame's only lost against Northern Illinois. Their last 5 games have been blowouts. Okay, they are clicking on all cylinders. USC, they've won 3 of their last 5. They have lost to Washington and Maryland. And I know, Mike, you might come in with they've only lost by 7, but they've played really crappy teams. And Notre Dame is clicking numbers-wise. The Irish are 9-2 against the spread. USC is 7-4. The Irish are 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 road games. The Trojans are starting that quarterback we saw from Vegas, from UNLV. That's who they're starting now. He's had a couple of victories. But USC has a big problem pass blocking, and it's been shaky all season. I think Notre Dame, I think they're going to eat them up. I think 7.5 is easy. So, Mike, give me Notre Dame to cover the 7.5.
Yeah, I'm with you in this one. I'll be the first to admit I was a major Marcus Freeman criticizer last couple of years, earlier this year for sure. But he's got them playing good football. He got them back on track. Riley Leonard stopped turning the ball over. They got back to what he's good at, which is using his legs to move the ball down the field, opens up the play action, opens up the read option, and their defense has been playing lights out. You look on the flip side with USC, you mentioned it, they benched their starting quarterback, who everybody was so high on going into this year after that bowl game where he threw 5 or 6 touchdowns when Caleb Williams didn't play. He hasn't panned out. This Lincoln Riley offense has not panned out. They've only scored 30 points 4 times this year out of 11 games, one of those being against Utah State. I'm not impressed with USC at all. Notre Dame is probably going to fill this stadium with their fans. This is a game that they know if they win, they are in the playoff. They're going to come ready to play. I think this one could be 38-14. It's going to be bad. Give me Notre Dame in my lock of the week here, Gator Dave.
Awesome. I love it, Mike. I love it. We're all over that one. So that's a big one. I mean, a lot of people are afraid of, but don't be afraid of that one. It's going to be a butt kicking. All right, next game. Yep. Ooh, we got the family team playing here. We got Georgia Tech at Georgia. They're in Athens on Friday, by the way. This is a Friday night game. So, I mean, when was the last time Georgia played on a Friday night? So, Georgia's favored by 19 points here. The over-under is 53.5. So, Tech comes in, puffing their chest out, 7-4. The Dogs are 9-2. Tech's won 3 of 5. Their big win, of course, against Mike's Hurricanes by 5. They beat NC State by 1 last week. The Dogs have lost 2 games. You know, they lost to Bama. They lost to Ole Miss, who, by the way, the Gators beat last week. So Tech's 5-1 against the spread, Mike. The Dogs are 3-8 against the spread. Tech does this rotation of quarterbacks, you know, with Philo and King. It's been working. Kind of like it. It's kind of cool. Their running back, Haynes, is badass. 717 yards, 5.2 yards a carry. So they've done pretty well. The Tech's offense is 67th. Defense is 45th. I mean, this coach has come in and killed it, man. I mean, he's doing a great job. I mean,
yep.
and they're recruiting, dude. They're in the top 20 in recruiting for this year. Now they could fall out, but my God, that's amazing for Georgia Tech. We know Beck comes in. He's thrown for over 3,000 yards. Obviously, he's had some issues with interceptions. He's 23 TDs and 12 interceptions. Georgia's offense ranked 29th, defense ranked 17th, which is kind of weird, you know, compared to what it's been in the past. Georgia's failed to cover the spread in each of its last 7 games against non-AP ranked teams. Georgia's getting ready for that SEC championship game. I just don't think there's going to be that will or that need to just beat the crap out of Georgia Tech. I mean, getting by 10-14 is probably going to be enough. The Yellow Jackets are averaging 30 points a game almost as of late. Georgia has failed to cover the spread in the first half in every single game but one this year, and that was against some freaking Rooster Brute. And that wasn't last week. I know, Mike, we should have just bet our paychecks all year long on that. So I'm going with the Miami Mike bet, and I'm taking Georgia Tech plus 10 in the first half, Mike. I learned from the master.
I love
What
it.
say you?
I absolutely love it. I think that's a great bet, Gator Dave. However, I like this full game even more. 19.5 points is a lot of points in a rivalry game, in a game that Georgia is susceptible in. And I see that I messed up the rankings for this one. Georgia Tech is not ranked number 8 here, folks. It's Georgia. However, maybe Georgia Tech should be ranked number 8. No, I'm just kidding. I think Georgia Tech is going to come to play against Georgia in this one. I think their ability to run the football is the difference maker. You mentioned it. Haynes, their running back, Jamal Haynes. Haynes King at quarterback. The quarterback that they cycle in, he can throw and he can run. They have dual threat all over the field. They are sneaky good at defense. Georgia Tech has a top 35 defense this year in the country. Sneaky good, sitting at 7-4. They have good wins against good teams. You mentioned some of them. I won't repeat them. And you've mentioned Georgia's inability to put teams away and put teams away early, especially teams that are unranked and they're not in the top 10. They're not in the top 5, and they're not being overlooked. And they're in an underdog situation where everybody's talking about the other team, and Kirby can use that against them. Carson Beck has looked terrible. We've talked about it all year long, the Cavender curse. It's a real thing. I'm telling you, there's something off with this kid after that happened this year. His focus is elsewhere. It's not where it needs to be. They do have the SEC championship now moving forward. They didn't before last week. I've talked to one of my buddies about it. It's the last thing that he wanted. He did not want the Dogs to be in the SEC championship. Worst case scenario, it's just one more game that now they have to win in order to get in. So that, is kind of a disappointing situation for the Dogs to have to deal with, unfortunately, in this playoff situation. It's one of those, maybe you don't want to play for the SEC championship this year because you look at that team that you mentioned that, y'all just happened to beat last week, Ole Miss. They're only at 14 right now. They lost to an unranked team. They have 3 losses sitting at 14. Alabama, 3 losses sitting at 12. Or 13. Clemson, 2 losses, sitting at 12. The way the playoff committee is,
South Carolina, dude.
South Carolina. So we're gonna talk about that game in a second. And the winner of that game between South Carolina and Clemson, I mean, it's basically lined up. You win that game, you're in the playoff. That's what that game is going to come down to. It's a playoff game. Clemson versus South Carolina, playoff game. But the fact that Ole Miss and Alabama can still make the playoff right now, that they're set up the way that they are, it's a little ridiculous to me, to be honest with you. I get it. SEC, the schedule, strength of schedule, the overall strength of the conference. I understand it. But you look at these losses, it's not like they're losing, Alabama. It's not like they lost to Georgia, to Texas, they lost to Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and who else?
Oklahoma.
And just got killed by Oklahoma. Killed by Oklahoma.
It's hot garbage.
There's no reason that they should still be in this playoff chase. I get it. Nick Saban is not there anymore. He ain't walking through that door to save this season. It's not the same. No. I would understand it if Saban was still there. I get it. It's hard to keep a Saban team out, but he's not there anymore. 3 losses and you have a chance at the playoffs over some of these other teams with 1 loss. It's ridiculous to me, to say the least, to be honest with you. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech plus 19.5 in this one. I don't think Georgia is focused on this. This is one that they've looked over time and time again this season. I think they do it as well. You mentioned plus 10.5 in the first half. I think that's a great pick. 19.5 is too much. I don't think they're looking to get any razzle-dazzle points with this win. Yep. They're not going to try to blow Georgia Tech out of the stadium. They're not trying to put themselves into position to make the playoff. They know what they have to do. As long as they win, they are in. They beat Georgia Tech, whether it's by 1 point, by 30 points, doesn't matter. They win. They play the SEC championship game. They win that. They're in the playoff. It's that plain and simple. It doesn't matter the amount of points. Kirby Smart knows that. He does not care about your wallet. He does not care if you pick them in the spread. He wants to get the win and move on to next week. Give me Georgia Tech. They will be playing with everything that they have in this game. And it is a team that does not quit. I like them in this one. It's going to be a good one.
Now, folks in the chat are like, Georgia worried. I mean, we both believe Georgia's going to win the game. We just don't believe that, the cover is the issue here. So your team will move on. No worries there. But, Georgia, I can't wait to watch this game.
24, 14, 28, 17. It's too many points. It's just too many points. Yeah. Georgia should win this game. They should be fine. But Georgia Tech is going to give them everything they want. I'm telling you.
And they get down to the 4th quarter and they're up by a couple of touchdowns. They're going to freaking let up like no tomorrow because Kirby he wants to move on, doesn't want to hurt anybody, all that good stuff. So Good
But
call there, Mike.
you talked about Georgia Tech plus 10.5. Just to say one more thing about it, if this
Yep.
Georgia Tech team with the running offense that they have, Georgia gave up 225 rushing yards to UMass last week. To Massachusetts at home,
Yeah.
gave up
Yeah.
160 of those in the first half. If they do that to this Georgia Tech team, and Georgia Tech is able to take a lead going into halftime, and they're able to establish that run, and they're able to establish that trench power, I'm just saying it could happen. It could happen. Well, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, because I'm telling you, Georgia Tech's going to come ready. Watch out, Bulldogs. All right, moving on. We got Tennessee making the trip to Vandy to take a big brother taking on little brother here. Tennessee is a minus 10.5 favorite. Over under is sitting at, I believe that's 48.5. I'm getting back on the train, Dave. I'm getting back on the Vandy train. I'm doing it. I've been off of it for a little while. I can't do it anymore. Diego Pavia, let's get it done, baby. Let's get this upset in Nashville. Let's bring down the goalposts. Let's throw them back in the river. Let's get it done. You already beat Bama. You've never been done before. You knocked them off. Number one team, knocked them off. It's an incredible season. Why not cap it off with the biggest game of your year? Send the Vols home. Dave, stop whistling, dude. It's not your time right now, all right? Send the Vols home crying. They're not going to the playoffs. Diego Pavia, he's suing the NCAA. He's trying to get another year of eligibility so he can come take his talents down to South Beach and take over where Cam Ward's leaving off. Give me the Vanderbilt Commodores, because he also wants a great education, and the University of Miami can provide that, Diego. Just give us a call. Vanderbilt plus 10.5 at home against Tennessee. It's going to be a good one. I think it's low scoring. Tennessee has a great chance to be looking past this Vanderbilt team, and if they do, they going to get caught. So give me Vandy to get it done in a low-scoring game. Tennessee, maybe 17-7. I don't know if Vandy's going to be able to pull off the upset, but I think they'll be able to get the cover. They're going to play this one tough. Give me Vandy. Dave, what you got?
I'm going totally the opposite. So,
okay.
University of Tennessee's 9-2. We know they should be 8-3 because they should have lost to the Gators. Vandy's 6-5. So the Vols have won 4 of the last 5 losses to UGA and Arkansas. Vandy has been in a bit of a slump, Mike. They've lost 4 of the last 4 games. UT 6-5 against spread. Obviously, Vandy's 8-3, and that's because of what they did at the beginning of the year. I am seeing a taper down of that oomph we had there with Vanderbilt, Mike. Our boy Pavia, doing a great job, but he's everything. I think he's getting a little, feeling a little bit beat up, torn up, worn out, but I'm just not feeling good. The Commodores have been 17 or fewer points in 3 straight games. Tennessee, I think they're going to end this season with a bang, Mike. I think they do have something to play for, and I think they're going to drive this thing hard. I think they want to win because no telling what happens at any other games,
Yep.
So I think they're going to press this thing hard because they want to be in that playoff. I know they're pretty much in, but I think they want to seal this thing with a victory, and I think Pavia is just a little too beat up. Road team has covered the spread in 6 of the last 7 games between Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Mike, I'm going to take Tennessee in all these darn points, man. I just think they're going to – I think this is the nail in the coffin for Vanderbilt. They've had a great year. Hats off to this kid, and I hope he does go down to, South Florida, and he's your quarterback.
We're going to need something because when Cam leaves, we got nothing right now.
I know, but I'd rather have that guy than some of these other people, because right now, while we're talking about the kid, what's the kid's name from Texas A&M that was starting and now he's kind of the
Weigman,
backup.
Connor Weigman.
Yeah, Wyman. He's supposedly right now. He's like the number one they're thinking coming out, but in terms of transfer portal. So because you guys are going to get probably the best quarterback, so we'll see how it is. But hopefully it is Pavia, and we can just run over that guy. But give me the Vols and to cover those 10.5 points, Mike.
Balls in the 10.5. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All right.
sir.
Last game of the night here, Gator Dave. Take it
Last
over.
game of the night. It's SEC versus ACC, and I know it's going to be a head-to-head. So, and I'm sorry if we're going to take a minute or two here. So, South Carolina.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
One of the hottest teams in the SEC right now. One of the hottest teams in the nation. They're 8-3. Clemson comes in at 9-2. South Carolina's won 5 in a row. Their last loss was to Bama by 1 point 6 weeks ago. Clemson lost to Georgia. They lost to Louisville. They beat Pitt by 4 points. I don't feel a lot with their schedule, Mike. I really don't. They didn't have to play you guys. They didn't have to play SMU, so they kind of got away easy. South Carolina 8-3 against the spread. Mike, Clemson is 5-6. The Gamecocks quarterback Sellers is kicking ass.
Yep.
You know, I feel great about our quarterback, but this kid, because he's been playing the whole year, is playing better than Lagway. You know, I mean, he is tearing it up, taking it under control. They got Rocket Sanders killing in the backfield. I mean, the offense right now ranked 32nd in the nation, defense at 14. This team's playing well. Yeah, Klubnik, 2,700 yards. I know you like Maffa. He's over 1,000. But again, I just don't think they've played the schedule that South Carolina has. If South Carolina wins, there is a possibility they make it in the playoff. Granted, it's a stretch because they put them down, down low, which to me is bullshit because they played well as of late. South Carolina's 4-0 against the spread on the road. Clemson is 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games. Give me the Gamecocks, Mike, and give me 2.5 points. Probably not going to need it because I think they're going to win outright, but go ahead and give me 2.5 points just in case. What you got?
I'm with you. I like the Gamecocks. I like the Gamecocks to beat the Clemson Tigers and basically secure themselves a playoff spot. I think they're deserving of it. I think they'd be a great team to see in this playoff. I think Shane Beamer is a great coach, and he would have some pretty fun things schemed up in all 3 phases if he were to make the playoffs. So I would love to see the Gamecocks get in. I think they do. You mentioned it. They've played the tougher schedule. They've been in these battle-tested games all year long, on the road. They took Bama to the limit, should have won that game at Bama. I don't think this one's any different. This is a noon kickoff. If this was a night game in Death Valley, I'd probably lean a little closer to Clemson. Noon kickoff, South Carolina's going to come ready to play. Their schools are generally pretty close to each other, so there should be a good turnout of Gamecock fans here. I'm with you. I think they're the better team. I think they get it done here. So I'm going Gamecocks, and I do think they seal and secure that playoff spot and all but end Clemson's. So I'm with you.
Scary team right now. No one wants to play them, and Clemson's got to do it. So it's going to be.
Yep.
I can't wait to watch that game. It's going to be awesome.
It's a playoff game. We talked about it a little bit ago. This is an elimination game. It might as well be a playoff game. You win, you're in. You lose, you're out. The only thing that could prevent Clemson from being in is if they win, they get in, they make the ACC championship, and then they lose the ACC championship, so they'd be back out. But that's the only way that the winner of this game is not making it into the playoff. So
right, yep. So good stuff. So to kind of wrap things up, don't want to forget. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We appreciate everyone that's watched the show all year long tonight. Appreciate the banter in the chat. Loving it. We had a lot of good stuff there. Very excited about this weekend, man. Rivalry week is like Mike said, anything can freaking happen. Just like last weekend. God dang, anything can happen. It's college football. Things have changed with the transfer portal and all these players getting paid. I mean, God dang, it's things are different than it used to be, and anything can happen on any given day. But we appreciate everybody supporting us at this point. And next Wednesday we'll be back on, and we'll talk about the championship games and kind of go from there. And I look forward, Ian. I appreciate you hanging on here, buddy. But we're gonna beat that ass. Go Gators! Oh, and don't forget our sponsor, Mike. Our sponsor, please.
Shop CYA. You see it up at the top? Cover your assets, people. You need a clear plastic bag. This is clear. This is a white piece of paper in it showing that it's clear. All right. You need a clear plastic bag when you go into stadiums, concerts, bar mitzvahs, pool yards, wherever you go. I don't know. I don't know you. Yeah, I don't know what you do. You do you though. But wherever you go, make sure you cover your assets. All right. ShopCYA.com. You go through security, they want to check your goodies, you just snap it off. Oh, look, all my goodies. Then you get back through security, you just snap it back on, and oh, look, no more goodies. It's completely secure from all wandering eyes. All right? Make sure you get yours today. They got all sorts of sizes, colors, shapes, designs. Look out for big things coming also in the near future here in 2025, Dave. That's all I can say right now. That's all I can say. Can't say too much. But big things are coming with old ShopCYA.com. So make sure you get it while the getting's good here, Gator Dave.
True that.
Shout out to Evelyn in the chat with the CYA drop. I appreciate you.
Right.
Appreciate you, Evelyn.
She got it.
You
We'll
the best.
see you tomorrow. Gator gear on, FSU gear on there, my friend Ian Gleason at Thanksgiving dinner. We'll see him at Thanksgiving dinner. Go Gators!
I can't understand why anybody would not like the Gators. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment if you haven't already. Tune in. Coming up right after this show is going to be the NFL Pick'em show with Steel City Scott and myself. It should be a very short show. We're trying to get in and get out. He's a very busy man this holiday break, Mr. Steel City Scott. So we got to get him in and out. So it won't be long, I promise. But tune in after this and check it out. Appreciate everybody for watching, and we will catch you next week. Good luck this week. Gator Dave, happy Thanksgiving.